welcome to Facts and Two Cents. This is Petal. Hope you all are having a great day. Hope you have a great weekend. As you know, we are a channel that supports the Duke and Duchess of Sussex, Harry, Meghan, Archie, Baby Lily, Mama Doria, Poola Guy, the chickens, Mama Mia, all of us here at Sussex Squad. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Happy Monday to all of you who like Monday, except me. I don't like Mondays at all. But we are here and grateful, right? Hello to all my friends in the chat. How are you all doing, my friends? I'm just going to say hi really quickly to my friends in the chat, and then we will get on with our stuff. Yes, let's see. Fancy. Hello, Fancy. How are you? Church Nelly, our awesome squaddy from South Carolina. Say hello to all of our other squaddies in South Carolina as well. Hello. Church Nelly, giving everyone a huge thumbs up and a big hand wave and everything else. Thank you, Church Nelly. Sharon is here. Hi, Sharon Augustine. Who else? Kathy Gavi is here. Hello. And Lydia. Oh, hello, Lydia. Awesome. Moderator Lydia is here. And who else is here? Lorna is here, and Karen M, our awesome moderator, is here as well. Hello, Karen M, and Black Queen, and Annie, and who else is here in the chat? Rosa is here. Nala Thando is here. All our awesome friends are here. Who else is here? As I scroll down, hey, Joyce. Joyce is here as well. Emerald is here. Hello, Emerald. Let's see who else is here quickly, and then we'll say hello to everyone else as we go. Elaine, wait, did I say Elaine before? I don't remember. But if not, hello, Elaine. Mama Jane is here. Hello, Mama Jane. Okay. So lots been happening. Hey, Gwendolyn, I see you there. Lots been happening around our faves, not necessarily with our faves. Our faves are under a tree in Montecito doing whatever it is they're doing and just being calm and cool and collected, and everyone else is having whatever it is they're doing. So but we just love them like that. You just stay under there, do whatever it is you're doing, work on whatever it is you're doing, fix whatever it is you're doing under your tree. We just rather than be there and be calm while all the other mess is happening around. So anyway, so they're doing good. And but today is Commonwealth Day, and I didn't even remember about this until was it early this morning or late last night or something? I forgot when someone mentioned it, and I was like, oh, I forgot all about this. And it's so wild. I mean, I don't know if you guys have paid attention to Commonwealth Day before, but I've only ever started paying attention to this, or not even pay attention, knowing it was there, but just paying attention to Harry and Meghan, because I never even realized this was happening before then. And it always sort of just, spring up on me because I, again, don't pay attention to it. And because that whole Commonwealth is just ridiculous to me in the first place. So none of it makes sense to me. So that's probably why. But, it's so funny. I was just thinking about it. Have they ever had this Commonwealth service anywhere else other than the UK? I mean, I don't know. The ones that I've seen since Harry and Meghan has always been at that same, I think it was the Abbey or wherever they have it in the UK. I've never heard of it being elsewhere. So maybe it has, and I didn't know, but I've only ever heard of it there. So, and if it's not been elsewhere, why not? So anyways, so today is Commonwealth Day. So, if you celebrate Commonwealth Day, well, happy Commonwealth Day to you, especially those of you in the UK, if you're there and you celebrate it, whatever, happy Commonwealth Day. They're having the church at the Abbey. I think it's the Westminster Abbey, I think is where they always have it. And, my lasting memory of that would be oh, shoot, I should have brought in that picture too. And I just realized I was just not paying attention. But my last, memory of that awful thing was that last image of Harry and Meghan at there with Kate and William, especially that article talked about her silly little hat being just nasty. Kate, William, and Sophie being nasty to Harry and Meghan. And of course, it was just so out there. Everybody, it was hard to miss. The world saw their nastiness towards Harry and their pettiness and vindictive behavior towards the Sussexes. So that's my lasting image of, the Commonwealth Day. But I think the royals are going to have some issues because this is the image that they are walking into today. Apparently, there are all these protests going on outside Westminster Abbey, and I think, just correct me if I'm wrong, and I think it is Westminster Abbey where they are. I should have double checked, but I didn't. But I'm thinking it's Westminster. That's where I remember it being. So if I'm not correct, or please, or London squatties, please correct me if it's not, and let me know which one of the churches it is, but I think it's Westminster Abbey. But anyway, so this is the scene that the royals basically walked into today. And I think our Republic group, we remember them from the last time they were booing Charles and Camilla at at this event. I think it was a week ago or so. These were the signs that they had. So I don't know if they had their little bullhorn thing that they were screaming, "Not my king," from last time, but I've only seen these pictures. So they have pretty much walked into protests, and people are protesting, a bunch of different things, whether it's the royal family, as we're seeing here with "Not my king" and all spares, not heirs. I was like, oh, there we go. And then also abolishing anti-LGBT laws. I mean, some people were protesting Uganda LGBT laws and stuff like that as well. So, but yeah, so this is kind of the scene that they walked into today. Now, how close these people were, I think they may have, sort of curtained it off, and they may be across the street from the Abbey or something. But this is what it is. I mean, as we know, the British press will always have you believe that Harry and Meghan are the only ones that British people are going to be protesting and booing and all of that stuff. I mean, we know that they have been grooming their readers and grooming their listeners to, if Harry and Meghan decide to show up for their coronation that nobody asked for, then they would be booing them. So, but the British people, at least these people from the Republic group and others, are making it clear their feelings known, that it had nothing to do with Harry and Meghan, because again, Harry and Meghan have no bearings on the British people's lives. They do not take your money. They don't take your tax dollars. They're not there lording it over you. They are on another continent, so they have no bearings on your well-being whatsoever. So there's no reason to protest people who don't even live on your continent. So, but don't tell that to the lying members of the British press. So this is becoming a norm now. I saw a reporter was saying, with the Queen, this was hardly ever done. With hardly ever when she was alive, there were hardly any times where there were protests. I mean, now this is becoming a norm with Charles, where people are protesting and booing, and especially the royal family's popularity, because that's the thing they go by. Their popularity poll, especially with the younger generation, is really low, and people are more and more willing and more apt to go out and protest and be like, no, we want change. Good for them. It's about time. You've been silent long enough, so this is kind of the deal. I don't know if our UK squatties are here. I don't know if any of the UK squatties are here that are out at the protests or have seen it live or whatever, but yeah, I just happened to check Twitter just before I came on, and I was like, oh, people are out there protesting. I know they said they would be protesting the coronation that nobody asked for, but I didn't remember about this or until last night or early this morning whenever I heard about this. So I didn't realize they were going to be there. So people having their voices heard, which is and I mean, I don't know. I would only imagine it's a little bit disconcerting for them. So, I could only imagine. But good to see British people are speaking up. I mean, I'm going to jump in the chat for a second. And oh, hello to our wonderful friends who are not in the chat, but I see you there listening in. 329 of our favorite people listening. Hello, hello, hello. Please go ahead as you're there. Please definitely, if you're new here, definitely subscribe and hit the notification bell so you know when we drop a video. And if you, well, as long as you're here and you're listening, just go ahead and hit the like button. Give us a like. And please share this video with, or this live, well, it's going to be a video when you share it, with, you know, with your friends, and help us to build a larger platform. So yes. So Kenitha, you're out there in London. Are you over at the protest? Are you over at the Abbey? And if you are, please do share what you're seeing on the ground over there. So I don't know. Kenitha is one of our London squaddies. So please do share. Very, very interesting happening over there. Let's see what else. Anybody else talking about these protests? Let's see. Oh, thank you, Robin. I needed that too. Thank you for my Martinelli spritz. Oh, gal pal on the Hudson. Yeah, I love being on the Hudson. You know it, Robert. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I shall enjoy. Thank you. Let's see. Church Ellie says, so I'm so tired of Slim and Dim. What is Slim and Dim? Cosplaying Meghan, and nobody in the media is calling her out. Unbelievable. Well, I mean, you know, with people cosplaying things, I mean, that I think by now we know that that's deliberate, and you know, you pay attention to it, they'll just keep doing it for attention. And when people are clout chasing and doing stuff like that, the one thing you don't want to do is, you know, give them attention as they're doing it, because that's the idea. Give them attention, because then it associates them to Meghan. And then that's, you know, when you put Meghan's name on anything, then you know what happens. It blows up. So that's why people have learned to just let her cosplay all she wants. You know, let her single white female on she wants. Meghan is on another, she's on another continent. Black Queen, thank you so much. I appreciate you, super sticker. Thank you, thank you, thank you for your support. Much appreciated. Thank you, thank you. Elaine says, I wish I was well enough to go to the protest. Oh, I'm so sorry you're not well, Elaine. Oh, I'm so sorry. And I too wish you were at the protest. I'll, you know, whatever it is, why you're, you know, you're not well, I will pray that you get well soon. I'm so sorry to hear that. 'Tis the time of year. Let's see. Who else is chatting about that? Church Ellie says, notice the sign doesn't say not my queen. Well, you know, if there's no king, then there's no queen, right? So there you go. You take one out, the other one will have to go. So yeah, it's just, you know, the press is all, you know, Queen Camilla, I mean, you know, but I don't think the British, I mean, and I could be wrong, Knitha or Elaine, you can let me know what you guys think, but I could be wrong. It doesn't seem the British people are all in on that Queen Camilla bit. They're okay. I don't want to even say okay. They could probably accept the Queen Consort part, but the Queen Camilla is not really, doesn't seem to be sitting all that well. So yeah. And again, I could be wrong, but I think people are, you know, but it's good to see. It's good to see that, you know, people are out there protesting. This is good because that'll just breed more and more and more protests. So yeah. Let's see. Who else is chatting about stuff? Elaine says there will be more protests leading up to the coronation. I like that, the coronation. Yes, I heard that. I know, especially Republic Group said they were going to be doing a lot of protests and a lot of stunts So whatever the stunts are, I know again for the climate conference, I think it was last year. I think they put up all of these billboards all around. I think it was, what did they have? I think it was Scotland. They put up all of these billboards all around Scotland. I think they did it in England as well, of William and Charles as climate hypocrites, and which they are, obviously. And so they had all of these billboards of them and all the list of hypocritical things like their jets and their many homes and, and all of the things and killing animals and all of that stuff that they were doing, and yet preaching environmental issues and climate issues. And so so that was actually a good stunt by them. So who knows what they'll come up with this time. I mean, a lot of times I'm not here for the Republic group because they seem to a lot of times forget that, including when Harry was a week ago when he was doing the Better Up conference, the head of the Republic group was tweeting, for them to ask Harry about, what's going on in the monarchy. And we all were like, tweeted back and like, dude, mind your business and keep Harry's name out of your mouth. So, I forgot I always forget his name. I always forget his name, but the guy who leads the Republic group is, he's like, they're going to be doing a bunch of stuff. So who knows what they are going to be doing. So be interesting to see how many people show up. Now, I think they said it's a few dozen. So who knows? I mean, he said that they're going to be like, massive protests. So who knows? We shall see. Let's see. Elaine, I think we're going to stay on you here because you're in the UK. Elaine says, I think it is only in the UK. Didn't even know it was today. No, Harry and Meghan, no interest. Okay, so I was asking if the Commonwealth Service has ever been anywhere outside of the UK. At least I had never heard of it being outside of the UK. And so Elaine is saying no, she thinks it's only been in the UK. And that's a question to ask too. Why is, if it's the Commonwealth Service, why not just, put it around to all the Commonwealth countries so that, it's not just about the royals going there, which is a lot of when you do this service, the majority of the coverage is about the royal family. And it's like the rest of the Commonwealth get unless you're performing, you probably get a little bit, but the rest of the Commonwealth don't really get a whole lot of play. It's usually about the royal family. And so again, the wealth isn't common, even with publicity for the Commonwealth Service. So anyway, what else is happening? I'll take this away. Oh, there we go. Thank you, Elaine. And I hope you feel better. So a couple of other people protesting over here, slavery, empire, blood. It's like, oh my goodness, so people are there again. There are a bunch of different things that they're protesting. As you can see, the other banners that's like Commonwealth of Hypocrisy. We demand justice for Babanki. I don't know who that is. And so there's like a bunch of other stuff. Again, the LGBT community is out there protesting laws, especially in Uganda. So so people are out there getting their voices heard, doing whatever it is they're doing. So so we'll find out whatever else happens with it. I'll by the end of the day, I'll probably post it in our community page, or we'll talk about it tomorrow. So moving on. While our faves are obviously in Montecito minding their business, it seems, as usual, the British press cannot it's just like, as you can see from these headlines, it's like Harry and Meghan literally have put out one thing, about Lily's, christening, and the fact that they received a, I guess it's probably one of those save the date things. They didn't say it was an invite. They just said they received communication from Buckingham Palace. Most likely it's save the date, and they'll say if they're going to go at a later date. That's been it. That's all they've been. We've not seen them other than we saw Harry, at the Better Up conference last week, and we saw Meghan on International Women's Day doing her thing, with the Harvest Home LA. And so that, but obviously we know that has not stopped the British press from all sorts of ridiculous headlines, including the fact that the Oscars was last night. And I guess many in the press were expecting them to be there and expecting, weirdly enough, not only expecting them to be there, but expecting Jimmy Kimmel, who was the host, to attack them for some reason. And I'm like, one, Harry and Meghan don't have a film. They've done Netflix stuff. That's TV. They don't have a film there. Chances are that they wouldn't be there, although some people, even though they're not promoting anything, are there. Harry and Meghan have been in California since 2020. They have never gone to any of those awards. None of them. The only one they've gone to or even been a part of in any way, shape, or form has been the NAACP Image Award. And that's where, because they have, created an award so that they can give. And they also got the President's Award in 2021. So, I'm sorry, 2021. Or is it 2022? Sorry. 2022, sorry. And but that's the only thing so I don't even understand why you're expecting Harry to go. They've never gone in the 3 years, and then you're expecting the host to attack them because it's like, that ridiculous irrelevant cartoon attacked them, and Chris Rock attacked them. So of course, this other one is let's do it. It's just the juvenile behavior of the British press again. And as you can see from some of these headlines, that the royals have this brutal plan for Harry and Meghan when they come to the UK for the coronation. I mean, obviously, again, Harry and Meghan have not even said they received an invite. They simply said there was communication, that as you can see at the bottom of the New York Post, like, Harry and Meghan are fair game at the Oscars thanks to Chris Rock and the irrelevant cartoon, and it's just like, seriously, and also some of the tabloids are like, Harry and Meghan, that the royal family are going to give them a cold shoulder, that I hope that they're seated in Siberia or some nonsense, or seated in Iceland. And it's just like the nonsense. And then there's this whole big thing about, if Harry and Meghan's kids are going to be invited and then they're not invited, and how Camilla's kids, and it's just the nonsense over and over and over. And so it's wild to me, with all that is going on in the UK, once again, that is the narrative. And so it reminds me so much of, the build up to the Jubilee that nobody asked for, the death of Queen Betty, all of it has become about two people that they can't control. And it's amazing to me to watch the behavior of British people who claim they're not racist and claim that, they're, colonizing people were back in the day, and, controlling people were back in the day. The UK is, is free. And it's just like, are you serious? This is the behavior of people who cannot come to grips with the fact that they have no control over people. It's like a society that is so bent on control. If I can't control you, I will damage you, I will destroy you, or I will incite other people to destroy you. And it's just like, it is so sick. And one of the things, it's like, I was thinking, like, these people, like, one of the things is like, they have no self-awareness. Or they just have it and they just don't care about how they come across, it's so sick to me. And again, it's like two people who, again, done nothing to them. And, of course we can't ignore the fact that Harry is suing the majority of the press. So there you go. But it's really wild. I mean, one of the things I was laughing at is, I think it was the Telegraph article, and of course written by Camilla Tominey's A Liar, about the Oscars, that Harry and Meghan are learning that Hollywood only respects real royalty. Harry and Meghan have no right to moan about being evicted. So it's just like, again, Hollywood only respects real royalty. Like, yeah, British reporters who have no idea about the culture in the US writing about the US. It's very funny to me. And then when we talk about the UK, they're the first one to be like, you have no idea about us. You don't, who are you to tell us? And it's just like, what? You're a little country, you're a little more, we have a little more information about you and a little bit better grasp about, than you have about the US, because you can't even grasp the size of California, less more the rest of the US, so it's very, very interesting to me to, and again, in terms of Harry and Meghan going there, what that like, that would be the last place I'd want to go. I mean, again, if they choose to go, which they probably will, because again, when you're dealing with it's the same way I felt about them going for the Jubilee, because again, their relationship with the Queen, I totally get why they went there. This is a little bit different in that they don't have that kind of relationship with Charles, but Charles is Harry's father. So will I be shocked that they go? No, I wouldn't. My preference would be like, no, you didn't even come to my child's christening. Why would I want to come to your thing? You know what I mean? But again, Harry is a loyal person. He's not like Charles. He's very loyal. And so taking all of that into consideration, I wouldn't be shocked if they went, so, or at least he went. I was like, leave Meghan in the US. If you're going to go, you just go. Leave Meghan alone. But knowing Meghan, she would want to be there to support Harry. She always will. I mean, the only reason she wasn't there a couple times was because she was pregnant. And so as long as she is able, she would be there to support Harry. But it's very, my thing is so much about, go where you are, one, respected, you are valued, you are loved, you don't have to be praised, but you're respected, and people care. And I'm sorry, but the UK, the majority of y'all don't care. It is just like there's such disrespect, and I'm not saying every person in the UK, because I know that's not true, but it's such a large part of you, especially, it always comes back to, for me, with Harry having served his country so well as he did and continues to serve, whether it's his fellow military vets or the charities he's still a part of, continue to serve Meghan as well. And to be among people that is just so awful and disrespectful, and knowing that the family that they're a part of just sort of goes along with it in a lot of ways, a part of the narrative. I don't know. Like, I'm about going where you're valued, and they're not valued there, but again, whatever their choices, I would respect, and I absolutely would respect their decisions, but it's just interesting to me how much they are just obsessed with attacking this couple for no reason, involved in them in things that they have no part of, just to use their name for clout, and it's unbelievable to see what this country is, and to see how it's like a feeding frenzy with the press and the people that they've groomed to go along with their lying narrative. It's really, really sick. And so I don't know, what kind of a atmosphere they will come into when they go, if they go to the coronation. It just, I know for me, I would not want to put myself in that situation, because it's just toxic. It is utterly, utterly toxic. This obsession with this couple is utterly toxic. And it's at a level where even, I remember someone posting that even like the Rangers, those crazy trolls on Twitter, if you're not on Twitter, are getting angry and upset at the press because they know they're posting lies, and their obsession with Harry and Meghan I guess to the expense of they're not even properly covering the royals when they do their engagement. You know more about Harry and Meghan's engagement than you do the others in the Shutter Island because they're obsessed with these two. So it's unbelievable to me. This kind of crazy obsession with Harry and Meghan. It's just like, yeah, I'll just stay in the US and stay away from those crazy people. So anyways, I'm going to stay in the chat for a second. Taiwa says, Charles' reign is already a failed one. His destined to follow enormous ending of Charles the First and Second. His will bring an end to this feudal anachronism called a monarchy. You know, many people are saying that. Many people are saying, yeah, because it just, I don't know how. And again, we all have different feelings about the monarchy. I wasn't raised with, worshiping these people or worshiping a monarchy or any of that stuff. And so I don't know how, even if you did, looking at what it is and looking at how they are, how you could still feel good about really bowing down to these people. Maybe not physically, but in a lot of ways, there's a culture that does. So Joyce says, Harry and Meghan are playing the long game. They cannot be like the royals scheming and plotting. Charles got played with the titles and have to let them continue to dig their own holes. Again, whether that means not fighting over them taking away Frogmore. And again, the funny thing with that, when I looked at Harry and Meghan's statement, they never said they gave up Frogmore. They simply said they were requested to vacate. There was a request for them to vacate. That is all the statement said. Harry and Meghan never said they accepted it. They never said they're vacating. They simply said, and the request was made for them to vacate. That's all they said. And so would I be shocked if Harry and Meghan are like, well, when you give me back my money, then we'll vacate, or they fight over it? I wouldn't be surprised. Again, they never said they were vacating. They just simply said the request was made for them to vacate. The press, however, has gone ahead that, they're being kicked out and, and all of that stuff. But again, specifically Harry and Meghan never said anything like that. So we don't really know what the end result of that is. So, and also we don't know from Harry and Meghan that, any truth to it be going to Prince Andrew. They never mention any of that stuff. So all we know about that is what the British press has said, and we know how honest that British press is, so again, with all of this stuff, grain of salt. Let's see. Lorna says, at Lydia, she was up against Jamie Lee Curtis, who has never won and whose father was Tony Curtis, who's part of the Hollywood establishment. Oscars love a good story. We're talking about the Oscars last night. I don't know if any of you watched the Oscars last night. I could not ever sit through those things. They're just too boring, long, boring, and unnecessary. But a lot of talk today about Angela Bassett, who many expected to win again. It's so funny. I don't know about you guys, but I realized I have not seen any of the films. So I could not comment on anybody's performance or performances. I cannot, because I have literally not seen any of the films that was nominated. And so apparently many felt like Angela Bassett deserved to win, and she didn't. Jamie Lee Curtis won. And as Lana was saying, yeah, she is the daughter of Tony Curtis. And something that, at least on Twitter, some people are up in arms about or upset about is that because Angela didn't, when the announcement, because I saw a clip of it on Twitter, when they made the announcement that Jamie Lee Curtis won, Angela she didn't smile and she didn't clap. And so people are upset, and some people are saying that she's a sore loser and all of those things. And it's just like, as usual, when there's a Black woman and she's not performing and she's not painting on a smile and, for everyone around to feel happy about things or not feel uncomfortable, it's always like, she's that angry Black woman who is a sore loser. And for me, I'm just happy that we are at a place where us as Black women don't feel like we need to perform when we feel like, whether we're passed over, overlooked, whatever. I mean, look at Angela Bassett's long history of incredible work and being overlooked. Yeah, she was nominated, but look at her long history of incredible work. And so I totally understand in that moment, you're sad, it hurt, it's probably a gut punch. And who is anyone to dictate to someone how they respond in that moment? Why should she have to clap if she don't want to? Why should she paint a smile on her face if that's not where she is? And so I'm happy to see women in power not feel like they need to, especially as Black women, feel like they need to put on a fake smile to make people around them feel comfortable. That we can be our authentic self wherever we are, whenever we are, and that be that, and let everyone else deal with that. So kudos to Angela Bassett for not putting on a fake smile. I totally get it. And I'm happy to see Black women, powerful Black women, strong Black women, not feel like they need to do that. Because you see that so often where we are, whether it's overlooked or whatever, and it's that situation, that awkward situation where we feel like we need to sort of like put a smile on and, that painful smile that we as Black women know when we see it, they're like, yeah. I'm so happy that she didn't. So good. And whoever have issues with it, then that's on them. So there you go. Let's see. Who else is talking? Lottie says, talking about Angela Bassett, as for me, I thought Angela should have won that award. Yeah, a lot of people are saying that. Again, I haven't seen any of the films, so I couldn't speak on it. But a lot of people are saying that it's not fair. Angela should have won that award. And also, there are a couple of people that also should have been nominated that weren't nominated in apparently two other actors with inferior roles in films got nominated and they weren't nominated. And so there is that, and then there's the backlash of this person, an actor, I guess, who is a vote, one of the SAG voters did this. They always do these anonymous voter thing in either Entertainment Weekly, I think, and also The Hollywood Reporter, where they give scathing critique or about nominees, including one of them that was saying, really went after, is it Angela Bassett or one of them? They really went after them and, just saying the most derogatory things, and that that Black actors basically should be grateful because they were, got nominated in previous years. And it just was like the most, just like, who... Unbelievable. But my thing with the Oscars, this is always the thing with the Academy Awards, whether it's Oscars so white, whether it's, all, there are some years that all of the nominees are white, some years where all of the, whether it's the director role, the best director or whatever, goes to white directors and also to male directors. There's always all this stuff happening. But for me, as, in terms of, say, us as Black people, it's like, look, it's time we stop giving such importance to people, again, to people who don't value us. You see the same thing with the Grammys, how, you have the Taylor Swifts, you have all of these people winning the best album, and you have Beyonce, who has, had the most groundbreaking, amazing albums and has never won. To the point where Harry Styles won, and you're like, excuse me, you know what I mean? And I'm sure there, maybe Harry Styles fine, but it's like his creativity and beyond. Hello, and so we have this kind of thing that keeps happening where these awards basically favor white performers. That's just the black and white of it. They favor white performers. No matter how amazing black talents are, if there is a choice, they're most likely going with the white performer. And so for me, there comes a time where, now it's so funny. Someone posted a video of Spike Lee and Denzel Washington last night at the LA Lakers game. Denzel didn't even bother going to the Academy Awards. And I'm like, that needs to be the spirit. That needs to be it. Stop putting that much value into their award. That's their thing. We have the NAACP award. Let's get that to the level, or create another one with our people and get that to the level of the Academy Awards. Because I don't know anyone who could, watch it, or at least I haven't heard anyone who were blown away by the Academy Awards. There is nothing about the Academy Awards. That's the reason I don't watch it, because it's always long, boring, and just completely uninteresting. There is nothing there that you can't do better, black performers, and getting either the NAACP Image Award or another one. Create one where we, the people, embrace our own people, elevate our own people, and that be it. So, Jada Pinkett Smith, one of the reasons she, I think Will Smith wasn't that was the Oscar So White year thing when that came out, that she literally even talked about that. She and Will, I think, decided not to go. They did not go to the awards. And that was one of the things she was saying. It's time to stop trying to force people to value you. It's like, get off of people's table and go build your own, like Tyler Perry talked about. Stop trying to get onto people's table. We have enough talent with our community where they are coming and trying to steal our stuff and then creating things and making money off of us. It's time for us we have a table, get our table to the level that we need it to be, and so that's where I am with those awards. It's the reason I don't watch any of it, because for me, it's the same thing every year. And so I just feel like, well, why put yourself through that? So, yeah. Anyway, that's my spiel on the Academy Awards. Something I would never watch. Joy says, Angela is not going to she's not going to fake it. If she's upset, then let her have her moment. Exactly. That's exactly what I think. And I was very happy to see. I mean, there's a clip on Twitter that I saw today with that. And she just, she was having a moment. And it, is that moment where they announce it, especially when you want, and you thinking you're going to win, and they call someone else and you did, amazing. Your performance should be the winner, and all of that stuff. Don't be upset if the person in that moment, don't be all clapping for someone else, because it should have been her. What is she supposed to do? Be fake? It's like, I'm happy that, I'm like, girl, you be you. So, let's see. Miriam says, if the Crown Estate returns the money, Harry and Meghan could consider the $2.4 million as a deposit and run off and deposit the $20,000 a month, then that's 10 years in rent. Harry and Meghan could consider $2.4 million as a deposit and run off and deposit. I'm not quite sure I understand the bottom part of it, but okay, if the Crown Estate won't return it, they can consider the $2.4 million as a deposit. Okay, for 10 years of rent. Okay, there you go. So if they're not going to return it, then Harry and Meghan should keep that house for the next 10 years, or sue them. They are completely sue them. They would be well within their rights to sue. If they either need to give them back their money, or they could take legal action. And that would be very interesting. I would actually love that because I would love to see the ins and outs of the Crown Estate exposed. Because especially when you're talking about them and that money laundering scheme that happened a year ago with those, what was it? The Pandora letters, I think, the Pandora files or whatever it was called, where the Crown Estate basically rubber stamped a money laundering scheme. I would love that to be exposed. I'd love to be for it to be exposed. So I wouldn't mind a lawsuit against the Crown Estate. Let's see. Dorothea says, I agree, Petal. The Oscars are boring. It always is. I don't know how people can sit through that. Always is. There a couple of times I literally I think it was a couple of years ago, people were live tweeting it, so I literally watched people live tweet. After that, even that was boring. I was like, no. So today I just looked at, I think it was CNN or something, and saw who won, and that was it for me. I was like, oh no, sitting through that is that's horrible. Church Nelly says, Angela Bassett didn't have a smile or clap for anybody. There you go. She didn't feel like doing it, so she doesn't have to. So there you go. Let's see. Oh yeah, let's move on and see what else I got. If you guys didn't see this, I'll move myself from there. World Central Kitchen, actually, that's Chef Andreas at the bottom left there. He just put out a cookbook for for recipes that they've been using in different parts of the world. As we know, World Central Kitchen basically feeds the world. Where there is a struggle, where there is a tragedy, whatever, they basically run to that struggle. And so, so we know that they're in Turkey or in Haiti, they're in Ukraine, they're all over, in the US, all over, wherever there's some kind of tragedy or whatever, they're there. And so now that they've put out a cookbook, and it's so cool because it reminds me of Together Cookbook. And so it's just like, oh, I wonder who suggested that. Not that I'm saying she did, but would I be surprised? No, I wouldn't. But anyway, so Chef Andreas announced it a couple of days ago. It says, in World Central Kitchen's first ever cookbook, we've gathered recipes inspired by many of the places our relief team has cooked following disasters and other crises around the world, as well as sharing inspiring narratives from chefs, volunteers, and communities we've met along the way. Each chapter in Feeding Humanity, Feeding Hope, reflects a World Central Kitchen value: urgency, focus on food that can be eaten on the go, include lamagoon, I don't know how they say that right, flatbread served after a devastating explosion rocked Beirut in 2020. In Hope, we find soups, stews, and comforting meals like Ukrainian borscht served to families living through the unthinkable invasion, and chicken chili verde prepared for firefighters on the front line in California. And so different people actually included or offered their recipe to be in the cookbook, including our very own chef, incredible WCK supporters, World Central Kitchen supporters, have shared recipes too, like breakfast tacos from Michelle Obama and a lemon olive cake from Meghan, the Duchess of Sussex. And so we remember that lemon cake because Meghan donated, or I think it was 2021. So the World Central Kitchen team, they were working in Chicago, and Meghan baked a lemon cake with lemons, I think, from her garden. Actually, yes, from her garden. And she baked it and sent it off to the World Central Kitchen team that was helping out in Chicago. And World Central Kitchen posted about it, as you can see. It says, in honor of Women's History Month, World Central Kitchen worked with Archwell, the non-profit created by Duke and Duchess of Sussex, to provide meals and share a message of appreciation to support in Chicago. Dessert was a lemon olive cake baked by the Duchess with lemons from her garden. And so that is the cake, and that's the recipe that Meghan included and gave to World Central Kitchen to include in that book. And I think the book is about 29 something. You can get it on Amazon. You can, you can get it by pre-order. So I'll put the link there if you're interested. And so I look at it as the Together Cookbook, and that is like Together Part 2, I guess. But I just thought that was really cool and interesting. And again, we as a community, the Sussex Squad, we have raised funds for World Central Kitchen. So it's really great to see that, you know, they are doing everything and in finding creative ways to continue raising funds, and they have gotten grants and all of that stuff. So they are doing great. But I love the fact that they are that about this cookbook, and I'd be interesting to see. I am just hoping that they have some vegan stuff in there so I can try. That is what I'm hoping that they have. So kudos to our Duchess. And if you guys notice, I'm trying to be more colorful. So my little clips now have some colors in there. So maybe nobody noticed, but I am very happy about my colors, because if you leave me alone, I'll be black and white the whole time. And it's like, Petal, you need to add some color to things. So there. And I love this. We know that, you know, for the NAACP Image Award, we were just talking about that. Meghan and Harry, they created the NAACP Digital Civil Rights Award, and this year it was presented to Nabila Sayed, and she is with the Marker, and they're doing great things, exposing all of this ins and out that's going on with different companies and how they've discriminated against, you know, Black and brown communities, including, as we talked about in a few episodes back, how they, you know, how internet companies, telecom companies, they have been shortchanging inner city communities, especially Black and brown communities, where we are paying the same amount for white rich communities when they have a lot more, you know, better, much better signal than we in the, you know, in the Black and brown community, and we're paying the same amount. And so they exposed that whole thing and so much more. And so they received the award, the Archwell Digital Civil Rights Award. And so Martin Luther King the third, who's actually always supported them, so he tweeted about it. He's like, congratulations to Nabila Sayed on receiving the NAACP Archwell Digital Civil Rights Award. Your work is empowering and shines a light on crucial issues for disadvantaged communities. Yeah, and so yeah, it's, if you haven't checked them out, again, I'll put the link in the show notes so you can check out the Marker, which is the company she's the CEO of. They are doing incredible work and exposing things that normally I would never know. You know, I didn't know that AT&T and all of these companies and Verizon and stuff were, you know, doing that to our community. Like I didn't know. I didn't realize that they were doing that. And so am I shocked? No. But it's great to see that exposed on a national level. And so, and now even more elevated with this Digital Civil Rights Award. And so kudos. I'm so happy that, again, the Sussexes have a great relationship with the Kings, you know, Bernice King and Martin Luther King. So the third. So it's really cool. So I just thought that was really nice for him to do that. So, and acknowledge that. And we haven't talked about Spare in a few. I mean, Spare is doing its thing, you know. It's like the little engine that could, you know. Penguin House, they were doing a little promo, of course, it's out front. Did you fly through Prince Harry Spare and want to keep a memoir momentum? So they're advertising these other two, one Gabrielle Union and the other one. But, you know, of course, Spare out front being number one as usual. And I mean, it'll be interesting to see what will knock Spare off, like what, you know, what memoir, what book would become number one, because, you know, it's still number one. And of course, Library Twitter, which I'm a fan of, you know, since Spare, it's like a prince among men. The Duke of Sussex's memoir Spare keeps the place at number one and is once again top of the library pops. I love it. I love library Twitter, especially the UK library Twitter. They are just so, again, I love the way they've just embraced it and come up with all kind of creative things to do with Spare. I just have never, I mean, and again, maybe they've done it to other books and stuff, but I just never seen it. I never paid attention to library Twitter before, but I love it. They're like a prince among men. I love it. I absolutely love it. And talk about in our Sussex world, our adopted squad, adopted Sussex person, Tyler. He's ours now. We've adopted Tyler. Um, Tyler is, and it's so funny. There's this outlet called the Black Wall Street Times. I love it. I was like, okay, I'm just gonna have to. I didn't know they were there before, so now I'm gonna have to be paying more attention to the Black Wall Street Times. But this, of course, it was reported in Variety and others that BET hasn't been owned. I'm sorry, BET hasn't been Black owned since 2001. Billionaires Tyler Perry and Byron Allen aim to change that. And we talked about in the last episode that Tyler is looking to purchase the controlling shares of BET because they had it started by I think the Johnson family. They own it, and then they sold it to Paramount. And so all of this time since 2001, it has not been Black owned. And so Tyler Perry and Byron Allen, who are doing amazing thing in Hollywood, they are now I guess teaming up to buy it. Of course, the last time I was like, ooh, that would be great for Harry and Meghan to be a part of this. I'm still having that vision. I'm still having that dream. That's mine and mine only. But the Black Wall Street Times says BET, a company created to fill the gap in Black-centered programming, hasn't been Black-owned since 2001. Billionaires Tyler Perry and Byron Allen aim to change that. Both media moguls are eyeing purchasing majority stake in the company, according to a report from Variety. Co-founded in 1979 by Black billionaire Robert Johnson and his wife Sheila, the pair sold BET to Viacom. Oh, they sold, okay, Viacom, not Paramount. Actually, it says it's currently owned by Paramount, but he sold it to Viacom in 2001 for a reported $2.9 billion in stocks, according to Forbes. News of the potential buyout comes after the company that owns BET announced plans in January to merge its popular platform under one banner. So my fingers crossed that Tyler and Byron Allen and hopefully the Sussexes will be able to do it and get it back to be Black owned. And apparently, and again, I don't watch television, so y'all can you can correct me or whatever. But apparently, what I've read so far is that a lot of the program, Tyler Perry has a lot of his shows on BET. I think he has probably the most shows of anyone on BET. So it'll be great. I mean, if your show is already there, it'll be great. It's only natural that they can have controlling shares of at BET. And again, it'll be fantastic to have it be Black. And again, this is supposed to be there for, Black-centered entertainment for Black people. And this is, again, why it's so important for us to embrace our own entertainment, our own whether it's a culture, our own entertainment, our own content, especially in this area, because again, this is supposed to be, it was started by a Black couple and sold to a white organization, and they're basically controlling our narrative. And it's like, well, that's not going to work, is it? So if we could get that back and then build up around that, and really our people really get behind BET, get behind the NAACP Image Award and stuff, we can be at the level and beyond anything that the Oscars or the Grammys can be, because we have the talent. We just have to have the everything else that goes to make it into the international sensation it needs to be. We just have to commit to our own people instead of always, wanting the other table, those at the other table to accept us. We got a table. Let's start building on it, and let's start putting food on it and be able to eat from it. That's the thing. Let's stay there and build up our own table. So I hope they're able to get it done. And I mean, I'm so proud of both of them, So yes, let's get some Black women billionaires in there to buy that. Again, it would be great, to see Oprah. Oprah used to have OWN, but she doesn't own. It's like own. She doesn't own anymore. I think she has very limited shares. I think Discovery owns the majority share of her company. Yes, it has her name, but she doesn't own it. So it would be good to see Black women as part of this team as well. So Meghan and Oprah, I think I like that. So yeah. But anyways, let's see what else I got. Oh, changing the topic, going to Shutter Island, back to Shutter Island for a minute. So we talked about last time Prince Edward finally getting his Duke of Edinburgh title that he was supposed to have gotten since, last September when King Charles became king. But Charles, being his very vindictive self, allowed the press and a lot of leaks into the press that they're not going to get it and all of that stuff. So he, had been basically been left in the wind and have the press, just been saying all these humiliating things about them. And because of obviously Charles seemed to want to put them in their place because, Edward and Sophie were they were out there fighting for that title. And so finally, his birthday a couple of days ago, Charles finally relented and gave him the title, supposedly as a birthday present. Right, sure. So anyway, but there's all that. And then, it's so funny with Edward because even though, he was basically kind of really foolish in the Caribbean in their last shameless, offensive tour of the Caribbean, not this one, the one, last year. I was kind of down on him, but of all the royals, really, especially when you think back to the Commonwealth service, he was the only one there that was nice to Harry and Meghan, and they were talking to him and stuff. And so, so I kind of felt bad for Edward, and I was like, he should have his title, and so, but the Scots, they're not feeling it. And so for them, this is like an insult to the people to, who call, as, the National, which is the Scot National says, it's an insult to the people of Scotland to have this man as the Duke of Edinburgh. And so one of the MPs says, SNP Tommy Shepherd says, the appointment was emblematic of the monarch's obsession with feudal patronage. The fact that these titles and positions are determined by accident of birth and forever the preserve of just one family is completely at odds with modern democratic values, he said. In Scandinavian countries, monarchs have gone out of their way to slim down by stripping lesser royals of their hereditary titles. Not here. In the UK, there seems to be no end to their obsession with feudal patronage. Tristan Gray, the conveyor of our republic, a campaign group called for the end of the monarchy in Scotland. He told the National that the appointment of Prince Edward as Duke of Edinburgh is an insult to the residents of the capital city. He says, I think it's an insult to the people who call Edinburgh home and their city can be passed around as a trinket to be given to people as a birthday present, just so Edward can put it up on his wall in his Surrey mansion, as if he has any connection to the city whatsoever. So the people of Scotland are not happy. At least these MPs are not happy. And we saw that, even with the Prince of Wales, when they, got that title, the people of Wales were feeling the same way. They're like, no, this is an insult to us, especially when they don't really have any connection to our city. They come and do little engagement for a little bit, just to act like they're doing something, but they have no other connection other than their mansion. They don't have any connection to the people here. And so, and I totally understand, it's like these titles passed around like given like trinkets as birthday present. I mean, seriously, so they're not feeling Edward at all in this. And so we'll see, we'll see if Scotland are really serious about becoming an independent, becoming a republic. We'll see. But as of now, that title is not going down well in Scotland. And, staying on Edward for a little bit, a couple of days ago, a couple of episodes back, I meant to talk about this, but so many other things were happening. I was just like, oh, but then I saw it come up again on Twitter yesterday. And I was like, you know what? Yeah, this is something that's, it was concerning to me when I saw it last week, and I was like, this is weird, because this is Edward and Sophie on their last year when they were on that shameless offensive tour to Antigua and St. Vincent and all of that. So this is them then. And, you know, he looks totally fine. I mean, whatever, you know, it was shameless and offensive, yes. But this is what he looked like. And this is what Edward looks like now. And when I saw these pictures, they were in the Cayman Islands. I think it was last week. They had a trip that nobody cared about. And so it wasn't, apparently they didn't take any press with them or whatever. It seemed the British press, nobody cared. This is what Edward looks like now. And when I saw the pictures, and there was one of him where the center picture, it was just his shirt. And he literally looked like skin and bones. And I got so concerned. I was just like, you know, and part of me was like, okay, maybe it's grief. Because I do know when sometimes people are going through grief, they, you know, they don't eat, and it's just a lot. It's a lot on your body when you're working through grief. And so I'm thinking, you know, that's what I was like, maybe that's it. But this is not the same. Like when I look at these pictures, and I was like, oh, this was a year ago. And this is what he looks like today. And I was like, oh my goodness. So part, you know, and again, you know, whatever. But I mean, I hope he's okay. And again, he was one of the only ones that was, you know, at least decent to Harry and Meghan. And so I always appreciated that, you know, and so it was just very, I was like, oh my goodness. So I'm hoping that he's not sick. And, you know, but on the other hand, you know, it could be grief, which is not good. I mean, he just lost his parents, you know, two of them in the last couple of years. And so that has to be really hard. And, you know, he was one of the, I think, Prince Philip's favorite, I think. And definitely the Queen definitely wasn't Charles. So to lose both parents, you know, in that short of time, I could only imagine it being really, really difficult. But this is, I mean, I saw these pictures in when they were in the Cayman Islands, and I was like, whoa. He was not a fat person. He's never been like a fat person or a big boned. I mean, this is normally what he looks like. But this is very different from a year ago. In 1 year, this is what he looks like. And so for me, I just felt like really, I was just very concerned. So, I mean, you know, I will definitely say a prayer for him that he's okay. And I mean, you know, even if it's somebody I didn't care about, I'd still not want them to be sick or anything. You know, but it's very, I don't know, it's very concerning. And again, grief could do that to you, you know. And but I just, you know, even though grief is bad, I hope it's nothing beyond that, you know. So yeah, it's just I don't know, maybe it's just me. And again, I was going to talk about it last week, and then I was just like, okay, you know, there was so many other stuff we were talking about, and I was just like, it came up again, and I saw this picture, the one on the left today, and I was like, okay, no, this looks, yeah. But, you know, again, you know, grief does horrible things to your body. So I'm hoping if that's it, then he's able to work through it and get to a healthier place. Terry says he's lost a lot of weight, maybe stress, whatever it is. Hope he gets better. Yeah, stress and grief. Yeah, it's, you know, because we saw at the funeral both him and Sophie actually were crying, like he was really crying. And that's one of the things that they took out from the, you know, remember we talked about the royal family wanting to edit out certain things from the video. I think that was one of the things they wanted to edit out of that video was him crying. And it's just like, the man is having, you know, it's his mother. Why would you take that out? He's supposed, you know, it's like, it's a natural thing to cry when your mother is dead, you know, and if she's being buried, it's a natural thing, but they wanted that out. And it's just, the royal family, unbelievable. Sylvia says, to be honest, I'm like Tina and Michelle. I could care less whether he got his title or not. These people do not support Meghan, and probably not Harry right now. He did not speak up for Meg when asked. No, he didn't. But I mean, I go back to the last time I saw him with them, and probably that's what's in my mind. The last time I saw him with them was that at that Commonwealth service, and it's why we're talking about the same Commonwealth today. The Commonwealth service, and they were talking to. He was the only one that was really talking to them, and they were laughing and talking with him. So he seemed, at least then, to have a good relationship with them, and so that's where, for me, the only thing I've used to judge him in any way was that situation at the Commonwealth service. And they were chatting, and again, he was the only one that reached out and and talked with them. So yeah, but either way, I mean, whether he was or not, I mean, I wouldn't wish sickness on anybody. And if I saw someone, I just would still hope and pray that they get better, so yeah. But it's just the starkness of it is just very it's just very, like, it takes you back. Diane says, I saw the stark difference in Ed Two Pedal. The dukedom is likely for only a short time. Wouldn't that be like C3 to do something like that? Yes, he missed his mom, but she was 97, so no surprise. Yeah, and again, with grief, it's one of those things, might be, especially if you're left with somebody like Charles. Having your mom there must have been such a blessing for him. I mean, imagine being stuck with Charles after you've been loved by both your parents all your life. He's had them his whole life, and then now be stuck with Charles. I'd be grieving too, because Charles is it's like, yeah. So, and grief, I mean, it hits everyone differently. It hits everybody differently, and everybody has their own path with grief. So again, Joy says, the grief is he stuck. He has to depend on I'm not sure, was Charles on what Charles threw his way. And then Willie, looking at Harry getting out of the mess, that makes me sick too. That would make me sick too. Yeah. Well, the thing with Edward, he was the first one that tried to get out. He didn't want to do royal stuff anymore. He got his own production company, and for a little while it was doing well. And then one of the people that really helped destroy his company was Prince Charles, because of some nonsense with him, with his people filming William. I think they were at Williams College filming, and they apparently, filmed William when there was an embargo on, photographers photographing William at school. And apparently, what I understand, it turned out it was not even his people, but Charles had that same Mark Bolan destroy Edward's company. He had his press really go after Edward, and basically that destroyed that company. And so Edward had to go he got it bankrupt. His company went bankrupt. The Queen had to bail him out. The same thing with Sophie. She was in, I think, advertising or whatever she was doing, and that went belly up. And they both had to basically come crawling back to the Queen, who basically funded their life until now. So yeah, they literally have to depend on Charles, who, by the way, apparently has inherited over 600 and something million pounds from the Queen, and has not shared any of it with his family, which I'm not shocked. I'm not shocked at all, because the heir gets everything, and everybody pretty much has to depend on them, the monarch, for their living. So they all have to basically crawl to Charles. Imagine that, having that person be the one that your entire existence have to depend on. And knowing how vindictive Charles is, I understand why he could be grieving, so it's which is what, I mean, I've been saying it for a while now. I don't understand why he and Sophie hadn't left. I don't know why they're still there, leave and try again. And it must be gnawing him to see Harry walk out of there and really fight and try to make a life for himself. And, to know that he tried it and had to come crawling back to the royal family. So if, I hope he gets better and maybe they can leave. But now with the Duke of Edinburgh title, they're stuck there. So, and they seem to be happy with their Duke of Edinburgh title. So there you go. Let's see. Trish Nelly says, oh, she's talking to Lydia, or being evicted or not getting the Duke title. Okay, I'm not sure what you're saying, so we'll move on. Iris says, as a grandmother, I would say he looked like a skeleton. Yeah, it has a very, he's so thin. It's like as my grandmother always says, there's no meat on his body. And if you're in the Caribbean, you know what that means. You always have to have meat on your body. And he doesn't seem to right now. And again, so yeah. Lydia says, perhaps it's his mother's passing took a toll on him, which is what I was thinking as well. Yeah. Yeah, I could totally see that. Let's see. So let's see, moving on from Edward. And again, I wish him well. If it's grief, again, it's as we've seen with Harry, reading Spare, we as a community understand grief, and if this is what he's going through, I definitely wish him well and be able to get on the other side and hopefully, get some help, as Harry has got some help. If that's what he's going through, I hope he's able to, or at least consider getting some help to deal with his grief and not try to, suck it up. Because as we've seen with Harry, that grief is no joke. It is no joke. So yeah. But I wish him well. Anyways, thank you, Lydia, for that. Moving on, Invictus Games. As we all know, Invictus is a lot of things apart from the games. So Invictus is having a bike tour through New York City. Yes. I am so excited as I cycle through every borough of New York City on streets totally free of cars for one day. The road is yours. The bridges are yours. And the city is yours. OMG. And that is Sunday, May 7th. So I have to go out and find out what the route of this is in New York and find out where it is. And again, that's coming up in May. And so this is going to be so exciting to have Invictus, which is where I think they should have the next games, but that's just me. Not the next one. The next one after Dusseldorf. But again, so it is so exciting to see. So it says, we are accepting applications for the TD 5-borough tour in May. The deadline is Sunday, March 12th. So please get your last minute applications in. So I'm going to put the link in the show notes. So again, if you know anyone who's a veteran who would like to take care of that, to take part of this, definitely send a link to them. It'll be amazing. They'll be in New York, and May the 7th, we'll be out there trying to videotape and photograph them, because that day, apparently, whatever that route is going to be free of cars. The bridge is going to be free of cars, and it's going to be a 5-borough bike tour. So it'll be amazing. So yes, Invictus. And I love Invictus. So there is this one. They are selling, obviously, Dusseldorf, Invictus Dusseldorf. They are selling their Invictus Games t-shirt for, get us all ready for the games. And so there's this wave thing on the t-shirt. And so I guess people were asking them what that is. So by way of explanation, this is a translation from German. It says, the wave, which is on the t-shirt, that keeps appearing in our logo is actually the Rhine. And for our German, French, Netherlands squaddies, if you can let me know if I'm saying that correctly. The Rhine, a symbol of connection across borders and of keeping moving. So that's what that is. It says it's actually the Rhine, and it's a symbol of connecting the country borders. And it says, and so I was like, well, what is the Rhine? I had no idea. So I had to go look it up. It says, what is the meaning of the Rhine? It says the Rhine is actually, it's a river in Central and West Europe. Western Europe. Rising in southeast Switzerland, flows through Lake Constance, north through West Germany, and west through the Netherlands to the North Sea. So that's where it is. That's the kind of the route of the Rhine River. And so I'm like, well, what does that look like? So I had to go look it up. And here's a photo of a little part of the Rhine River. And again, our Europe squaddy, let me know if I'm saying it correctly, if it's Rhine. So this is from a travel site. And so this is a little bit about it. It says one of the most famous rivers that Europe has to offer. The Rhine flows through 6 countries: Switzerland, Liechtenstein, Austria, Germany, France, and the Netherlands. Along the way, it's clear to see how valuable this waterway has always been regarded as. Castles and forts sits along the bank, along the vineyards, homes, restaurants, and cafe. At 776 miles long, it would take months to explore every single stop along the way. So, you know, if you want to go check out the River Rhine, you can, book one of their cruise, whatever. But again, it's the river that connects and it flows through. Again, Invictus Games was just in the Netherlands, and now now it's in Germany. So that river is that border they're talking about, that connecting border. So the river, again, it's from Switzerland to Liechtenstein Austria, Germany, France, and the Netherlands. So that's what that river is, connecting borders. So I just thought that was really cool. I was like, oh, because again, it was the Invictus Games was at The Hague in the Netherlands, and now it's in Germany. So following along the route of the river. So yeah, so I just thought it was just very cool. And I was like, oh, learn something new. Very interesting. So I love that. But I think that's it. That's all I got. I'm going to stay in the chat for a bit, say hi, what else you guys have, and what else you're talking about before we end. Sylvia says, Pedal, when I lived in Germany, our team would take our rest relaxation day just cruising down the Rhine River. It is beautiful. It looks beautiful. It does. Yeah, you're right. And again, it says that there are castles and stuff along it. So, but wait, you spell it differently from how this spells it. It's like, this is like Rhine. So is it just in different countries you spell it differently? So yeah. But yeah, it looks beautiful. Oh no, Sammy, thank you so much for your super sticker. I appreciate it. Thank you for your support. Much appreciated. Let's see. Yolanda says, they all want to do what Harry has done. I think going forward, they will have a hybrid work rota for the royal family to last. Yeah, it's the very thing that they don't want to give Harry. They don't have a choice, because it's like you're at a place where it's like you can't force people to be staying in there and then having your press destroy them. I mean, the younger generation are just not going to put up with that. They're not they don't have that kind of, okay, I'm going to be loyal to you in spite of how you treat me. So yeah, it's just what Harry and Meghan was trying to get them to. I mean, but they learned the hard way, I guess. They learned the hard way. Beverly Isidore says, Sofiesta was so mean to Princess Meghan. She will be ashamed to contact Meghan for assistance. Maybe. I mean, she was, for the funeral, wasn't Meghan with her? They were like traveled in the same car. And so, I mean, I don't know what kind of, communication they had, but I did see them in the same car. And when they were entering, I think the church, they were, I guess they came together. So who knows? Maybe they're working through stuff. I have no idea. Com says May 7 is the day after the coronation. Yes, it is. And I shall be out there trying to find a bike route on the day after the coronation. It is really a con-a-nation. I love this. I love that you guys have coined this, the con-a-nation, because in order for you to get, well, how much is this? I'm sure close to 100 million pounds to put on a coronation that nobody asked for. You have to have conned a whole nation. So that's exactly this condemnation. You condemnation to get that money, and they have them focused on whether Harry and Meghan are coming or whether their kids are coming, and that be your focus instead of the fact that the royal family of literally picking your pocket. So yes, it's a whole big con. So thank you, Com. And all this way into it, they still have not learned that their pockets are being picked. Unbelievable. Diane says, the New York Bike-a-thon is another reason birthday boy Archie should forego a UK appearance. On May 7th, Archie is the Grand Marshal of the Invictus Bike-a-thon. Ooh, I like that. That means then Archie would be in New York. Ooh, I like that even more. I like that even more. That would be fantastic to have Archie and Lilibet in New York for this. This would be fantastic. So yeah. Let's see. Joy says New York may make another bid for the games in New York. I hope so, because I mean New York is the best place for this games. I appreciate the other places, but no, New York. And this is my totally unbiased opinion, of course. Lady Bird says Meghan saw that mess and what it was doing to these people and says, I'm out and I am not having this for my family. I'm telling you, I don't know how people survive being in that cage. I just don't understand it. And again, it's that when you don't see the value and you don't see a value and you don't see a word and you depend on other people to value you, and it just, that's how you stay in that situation. Because I'm like, especially knowing Charles, I'd be out of there. So amazing. And again, some people love the, being there. They have the title, they have some sense of, I guess they want the popularity and all of that stuff, but that's just so not worth it. It is so not worth it. So Joy says, it would be good if Harry and Meghan came to the New York event. Hello, totally. And bring Archie. Totally. I totally see that. So yeah. Lorna said, she's talking to Adrian B. According to an article in New Zealand the New Zealand Herald, Prince Andrew allegedly said that the only person who inherited was Chucky. That would be absolutely true, because that's how they do it with the monarch. They transfer it from monarch to monarch. Why do they do it? To avoid taxes. That's the only way they can avoid inheritance tax. Charles inherited all of that property that the Queen had. I mean, that woman, I think, has over $1 billion portfolio. And he inherited it. And the reason they pass it from monarch to monarch is so they don't have to pay inheritance tax. Every other person in the UK have to pay inheritance tax except the people who have the most money. Tell me why people aren't screaming about this, and yet they're still allowing this man to pick their pocket to have a coronation that's probably 100 million pounds and not screaming about it. This is the thing. I was just like, what is wrong with you people? If that was you inheriting any kind of money, you have to pay inheritance tax. They're not getting it. They're not paying it. And then when one of them die, you can't even see the will. So you don't know exactly how much they inherit, because that will is sealed for 90 years or 90 something years. And people aren't screaming about that either, other than, say The Guardian and a couple of other news outlets that are always petitioning the courts to open up those wills, which they should. Everybody else's will they can see except the royals. So you don't really know how much they have. And so it just so yeah, Charles is the one that inherited everything. And knowing Charles and seeing, at least looking at his character from all the things that I've read and seen about him, he is greedy as everything. His thing is, and his power is, people coming to beg him for things. So it gives him the power. And I'm sure it probably gives him so much joy to have Andrew, the Queen's favorite, having to beg him and rely on him for money. So when you hear stuff like, oh, Andrew's going to do a tell-all or whatever, can you blame him? Can you? I mean, I don't think he's going to do it. I mean, I think it's probably just tabloid lies or him just threatening Charles. But it's kind of like, look, I couldn't blame any one of them, you know? And again, this is where I leave. Because Charles is so greedy, he will sit there and hoard it, while you have to come and beg him for stuff. So unbelievable. I don't understand why they stay there. Let's see. Beverly says, Prince Edward did not have a strong woman with him, but Prince Harry have a strong, intelligent, and brilliant and charitable woman with him and will succeed. You know, what they did to, I think Sophie, what I understand about Sophie, she started out strong. And again, she had her own, I think it was either her company or she was very high up in this. I think it was like advertising or whatever she was doing. So she was working, she had a good job, whatever. And she got into trouble because one of the tabloids set her up and they got her talking, trash talking Charles and saying that he's not, he's not people's favorite and all of that stuff, and saying things about the royal family that was embarrassing. And all in all, her with that and some other stuff, I think she got caught twice doing stuff like that. And her company, basically, I think they went bankrupt or something. And Edward, he had his own company, as I said, and that went bankrupt. And both of them then had to come crawling back to the royal family. And I think what happened with both of them, because they had independent spirit and they wanted to do what Harry and Meghan were doing, they wanted to have their own lives. But the monarchy broke them in. They broke whatever that independent spirit they had. They broke them to where they are, where Sophie is, and Edward are sitting there, trying to do interview after interview to try to get titles. This is not how they started out. And I think this is probably what they were trying to do with Meghan, break her down and have, they use the tabloid to destroy her. It's the same thing they did to, even Sarah. Sarah was that headstrong person out there doing her stuff. And what did the tabloids do? The tabloids went and broke her down when they, impersonated this, person where she was trying to make money to give them access to Andrew. That was a tabloid. Another tabloid set her up. For me, when I see those patterns, I'm like, for me, when I look at it, it's like, I believe that this was royal family setups. Set them up to break them down. And because, so Fergie was, she needed money. They both fell for those things. And the monarchy was able to break them down and break their will to where they're now basically subservient to them. And I think that is a thing. That's one of the things they were trying to do with Meghan. And they just didn't succeed. Meghan was just stronger. And I think because Meghan is American and, Meghan had an out, she had some place to go. She didn't have to stay there. And she had a life before in a country that wasn't the UK, who has a bigger perspective than life in the UK. I think that was the reason she was able to stand in her strength and get herself and her family out of there, But I think they do that to women. They break the will to where you become their slave. Apparently Kate was a very, strong, outgoing person. And to see her now, it's just like, what are you? You're like a doll. You're like a, a statue, whatever it is she's doing there. But yeah. And so for me, again, I'm just glad that Meghan had a life before that, from a country, because I think if you're from there, there's nowhere to go, pretty much. It's like, that's all you know. And so, yeah, it's amazing. Let's see. Diane, I think I keep dropping on you. Diane says, I'm not advocating child abuse, but as young adults, Liz and Phil should have slapped the fire out of Chaz a few times. He is such a spoiled brat. Well, the thing about with Charles, the way he is now is it's a result of their lack of love. There, I mean, Charles talked about it in Jonathan Dimbleby's book. They basically neglected him, and actually Prince Philip, there's a documentary, even Penny Jr. is talking about Prince Philip being abusive. And whether, I don't know if that means physical, but he was definitely mentally and verbally very abusive to Charles, very, very harsh. And the Queen was basically not, even when she was there, she wasn't there. So they didn't have a loving relationship. He's always had a complicated relationship with the Queen. There was not much love there. And when he was a couple of years old, I think she left him for 6 months. That the story, when she came back, instead of hugging and loving him, she shook his hand. Charles was always closer to the Queen's mother. The Queen's mother was really his mom. That's who gave him the love and gave him any kind of support. And also the pedophile, what is it, Mountbatten, that he was the one that Charles went to and was like a father figure to Charles. So those were the two, not Philip and the Queen. They were not loving parents to him at all. And that's why when he wrote when he helped write the Jonathan Dimbleby book, he was asked if he regretted it, and he's like, no. And I don't blame him. So he, now that lack of love that you see that he passed on to Harry, that's what he got from he just didn't break the cycle. What he got from his parents is what he passed on to Harry. And that's what has really damaged Harry. And that's what Harry's trying to break. So yeah. Let's see. Joy says he and Sophie are too old now to go on their own. They're stuck. So they have to be having Charles through them a title. I don't, Joyce, I don't believe anybody is too old to do. 59, that is definitely not too old to start over. They're not poor people, so they can, you just have to have the will to do it. But no, I don't believe they're too old to start over at all. People in their 90s are going to get degrees and all of that stuff. No, I don't believe that. I don't believe 59. No, I don't believe that's too old at all. Even if they were 70 and they wanted to, start a different life, they can totally do it. They have so much resources available to them that they can totally do it. They just have to have the will to do it. The will to walk away. As we saw with Harry and Meghan, it takes a lot to walk away from a cult, which I believe the royal family is. So, let's see. Terry says, I would be depressed if I had to depend on Charles and William for my daily living. I'm telling you, it's can you imagine if the Sussexes hadn't left? Imagine having to go to Charles all the time for money. That is just, especially, the Queen not being there. The Queen was a bit of a buffer. So, they can always go to the Queen for some kind of, sometimes she at least can put in a good word for them, though I don't think she was in control of much of anything, especially coming to the end of her life. But at least she was there. Now, oof, gosh. I cannot imagine. Alma says the situation with Charles III and Edward having to crawl back is what Charles III and William wanted for Harry. However, Harry and Meghan didn't crawl back. Exactly. This is what they all want, for him to crawl back and be that, third wheel, which is so horrendous when Harry, was trying to, was like telling William about, Meghan, about, even the idea of him marrying Meghan. And, even William was like, it's probably not going to happen for you, Harry. It's probably not going to. And it's that thing where it's just like, really? You really want your brother to stay a third wheel to you and your wife his whole life? Like, why would you want that for somebody who you love? And it's so sick, so incredibly sick. Let's see. Hope's Garden, hello. It's like, hello, pedal mods and squatties. I'm late. That's okay. There's a whole replay you can get the before. OMG, Edward looks sickly. I need to replay. Oh yeah, it does. I mean, and again, I do wish him the best and hopefully he gets better quickly. Let's see. Some more before we end. See, somebody I didn't get before. Sonia, hello, Sonia. Sonia says, I think even if some royals wanted to show solidarity with the Sussexes, it will have been wait, let me just read that again. I think even if the royals wanted to show solidarity with the Sussexes, it will have been intimidated by the fact that he knows which side his bread is buttered. He does not own anything and can't move. Yeah, he certainly knows, which side his bread is buttered. I mean, you see that a lot. Even like you see, say Fergie, who is divorced from Andrew. Even she wouldn't say, she would, hardly want to even, mention Meghan. And I understand why too, because she doesn't want to go there and all of that stuff. But you could see the fear. You could almost see it, They know what Charles is. You go against Charles and how spiteful he is. You might not get any money after that. So yeah. But again, I don't know how much he owns. I know he's at Backshot Park, which is like an 80-room mansion that I don't know why Edward and Sophie still live in an 80-room mansion with only both him, Sophie, and their son, because their daughter, whatever her name is, I forgot her name, but she's in college. So she's not even at home. She is at St. Andrews College. And so it's only the three of them and their staff, I guess, at Backshot Park. 80 rooms with horses and all of that stuff. Like, why do three people need 80 rooms? And they have, they are coming after, and they have come after Harry and Meghan one little, how many rooms, which if you notice, it depends on whichever paper you read. It's either 7 bedrooms, 10 bedrooms, or 5. They can never decide how many bedrooms Frogmore Cottage has. Amazing. Let's see. Louise says, stress from losing parents and waiting on Charles to give him a dukedom. Yeah, that's definitely could be it. That's, we're talking about Edward's weight. That could definitely be it. Let's see. Blacklight says, it's possible, so stressful having to deal with the loss of both parents within such a short period of time, but it's probably stress being under Charles's thumb. Yeah, I could totally see. Yep. That would be a mess. That would, again, it is the Lord himself why our faves are not there. So, Diane is like, yeah, I'd cry too if I depend on big bro like Charles for like a livelihood. Yep. Pamela says, Charles making everything and not giving nothing to his siblings, it's affecting them. It has to. It absolutely has to. I mean, it's just absolute greed. Absolute greed. It's the same thing when you think in terms of William and Harry. William inherited the duchy. Millions. He inherited homes, land, property. I mean, you think of the duchy, all the duchy farms and all of. William inherited all of that. Harry, nothing. All of it goes to the heir. And the spare basically have to come begging. And it's just like, and yet they want to, attack Harry for wanting his own. So what is he? He's supposed to be begging William and Charles his entire life. That's what they want. I mean, I don't understand why you would want that for a family member, why you would want a family member that to be their existence. And I don't understand how you can have an entire country, basically rubber stamp that and be okay with that and not see the abuse in that. I don't understand. Miss September says, remember when Harry said in Spare he was rendered unemployed? Yeah, in Spare he was rendered unemployable because he did held all the money and depended on him. Yeah, exactly. Charles was not just his father, whatever, but yeah, Charles, they basically infantilize you. And then, in the case of Harry, when Harry left, just completely cut him off. And the only saving grace is that Harry had, if Harry hadn't had experience with, starting the Invictus and the Endeavor and all of those things, Sente Bali and stuff, Harry would literally be unemployed because he would have no real life work experience. If he hadn't gone into the army, think of that's why William is the way he is. Well, you can't find what William has done, what he's accomplished. If William were to get caught, if this whole monarchy were to get abolished, apart from William's title, what would he be qualified to do? You can say, okay, he's an air ambulance pilot. Okay, that, okay, there's that. But apart from that, he doesn't have real world experience. And so, especially if he doesn't have servants doing a lot of the work for him that he could take credit for. So yeah. Anne Lewis says, she's talking to Karen Werner, Princess Marie, who is married to Denmark's prince, has not walked away. Queen Marguerite has changed the letter of patent, and only the Crown Prince children are entitled. Yes. There are some in the UK press are like, well, why didn't Charles do that to, because Marguerite did that to her second son and his kids. Why didn't Charles do the same to Harry and Meghan, which is what they were trying to do, which Meghan talked about it in the Oprah interview, which is what they were trying to do. And so some in the British press were like, well, he should have done that. It's like, yeah. It's racist what Queen Margaret did, and it would be racist here too because her kids are biracial kids. So let's see, a couple more before we end. Raven 299 says Chuck had no dollars for Meghan. Can you imagine for his grandkids? Yeah. That's what he said. And I like the fact that Harry brought up, like, is he saying that with all his millions and the duchy that brings in millions, he's saying he doesn't have enough money for Meghan? And that's the thing. Charles is a hoarder. He hoards money. He spends his money on himself, and that's very royal, is what they do. He spends the money on himself. He's not interested in spending it on other people. Let's see. Silva says, Peddle, you're thinking as an American, it is not easy for them to get out. Harry and Meghan walked away, but Harry told Michael in their interview he could never totally get out. Well, yeah, totally. I mean, I totally get that. I totally understand. I mean, I'm from the Caribbean, not American. I live here, yes. I think the way I look at it is with Harry and Meghan, him saying that is that he'll always have a connection to the family because it's his family. He also has a title to them, but he can live independently of that. And I think with Edward, he did it before. You know what I mean? He lived independent of having to beg his family for money before. And yes, again, Charles played a huge role, him and Mark Bolan, in Edward's company going belly up. And it was just, for me, the will to try again. Of course, it's difficult, especially when, people thought at the time they would label him as a failure. But I think Harry and Meghan gave you the roadmap to doing it. And it would be up to them to tap into that. It's not, for me, I don't think Harry could ever, unless he, abdicates, as long as he doesn't do that, then obviously he'll always have a connection to the family. I mean, hello, his children, Prince and Princess, will always have a connection there. But he can live independently, as Harry and Meghan are doing, as Eugenie does. She still has a connection to them, but she can live independently and live her own life. And so that's, for me, is what I was thinking in terms with Edward, is the same thing. But no, it's not. I mean, we've seen the trauma that Harry and Meghan has been going through. So no, I totally agree with you, Sylvia. It's not easy at all. I don't expect it to be. But they can live independently and not have to depend on Charles for money, especially. Um, let's see. Terry says it's having total control over them. You give yourself, you give up your self-worth value for the perks that comes with it. Therefore, you are at their mercy. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. I mean, you think of, say, Princess Margaret, it's the same thing. When it's like she didn't do what she wanted to do, like marry the man she loved and leave and give up her perks, and she stayed there and then ended up basically drinking herself to death. So yeah, it's like you have to decide. So I was like, pick your poison. Let's see, a couple more before we end. Terry says, I'm going, says, you're right if you, Paddle, you're right. If the monarchy gets abolished today, they're all unqualified for work. And that's why they can't leave, because the situation has made them weak and defenseless. Yeah, which is exactly to Harry's point. The only person I would think, apart from Harry, that have any real world experience and actually have done stuff and created stuff is Charles. And again, whatever you think of Charles, he didn't depend on his title, and then just stay and sat on his title and that be it. He was actually, the many in the monarchy was trying to persuade him to not go after the things that he did. They weren't happy that he was pursuing and starting charities and doing his architecture and all. They weren't happy about any of those things. They wanted him to just, basically rely on him being the Prince of Wales. And he was determined to go learn something and do things and create things. And that's the thing. If he didn't have that drive, he would be William today. And the good thing, the only good thing I saw that Harry took from Charles was that mentality and that kind of drive to learn and to do things and to be able to develop things and be able to grow in ways that the monarchy doesn't allow you to. And that's why I feel like Harry has been able to do, because the one good thing he took from Charles is his work ethic and his just his curiosity to learn and to grow in different ways. And again, think whatever you want. Again, I'm not here for King Charles, but that's the one quality that you can't take away from him, is that he fought to learn and to grow in whether it's in creating and building things. That's why he was able to have all these charity things that he's doing. And so Harry is the same mentality. William, however, is the actually opposite. He has not taken the time to really develop and be anything beyond being now the Prince of Wales. So the majority of the thing that he is doing, it's mostly his staff doing it, because you hear them try to talk about what it is they're doing, be it mental health or whatever. It's so basic. It's kind of like, okay, I just read this and someone wrote it for me, so I just kind of memorized it a little bit. There is no depth to any of it. And that's why when Harry speaks, people they connect with it, because he speaks as somebody who knows what he's talking about, who's done things. William, yes, he did air ambulance stuff, so he'd be qualified for that. But beyond that, there's no real world experience there. So yeah, it just, Edward at least had a company, so at least that's something. Sophie at least had a advertising material, that's something. So that at least they're ahead of William and that. William didn't even, he's a Prince of Wales and don't even know the language, even though he's known for his whole life. He's gonna inherit that one day. So he does not have that passion to learn, it seems. So neither him nor, it seems, Kate. So anyways, let's see. M. September says, I believe before Harry would ever go back, he would move to Africa, be a tour guide with Mike and Tej. You know, I always imagine Harry, Meghan, Archie, and Lily in Africa. It's so funny. I always imagine them that. So I actually would love that. I don't know about the tour guide part, but I definitely, I could definitely see them in Africa, spending a lot of time there. And, you know, I could totally see it. So yeah, totally here with you on that one. Oh, I love his relationship with Tej and Mike. That is just so wonderful. So, anyways, let's see. One more before we end. Let's see. Joy says, Charles said a few things, but I don't think he is not. But I don't think he is not. I'm not sure what that means. Samars either. He learned some things from Charles. Harry learned some things from Charles, but he's more of a man than Charles. Okay, so that part I understand. Yeah. Yeah, I totally see. I mean, you know, I think he got Charles. If we're thinking of the same thing, I think he definitely got Charles' work ethic. Yeah, Charles, you know, Charles went to college and all of that stuff. Harry was not into that, but definitely his work ethic and his, you know, passion to learn and grow, definitely. So yeah. Anyways, guys, I think that's it. That's all I got. Thank you so much for hanging out with me. Thank you to our awesome moderators, Lydia, Church, Nelly, Karen M, Cookies and Cream. Thank you guys so much for everything you do to make this safe space, this place safe. I appreciate it. Thank you to our 2 Cents crew members who support the channel monthly. I appreciate. And a little star there by Cookies and Cream. Yeah, Cookies and Cream. Welcome to the 2 Cents crew. And thank you to our awesome Gold Star supporters who support, as you can see in the chat, who support with super things, super stickers, super donations, and also PayPal, Cash App, merchandise. Thank you all so much for your support. I appreciate it. And yep. Thank you guys again for hanging out with me, and I will see you all tomorrow. Have a fantastic day. Yep, I will see you then. Bye. Love you all. Bye.